Hey folks, before we get to the episode, I want to invite you to this month's International Directors Meetup, our monthly gathering of directors and theater makers from around the world. It's a space to share experiences, trade advice, and find support in what can often be a pretty isolating role. You can come and go as you need, drop in late, leave early, whatever fits your schedule. It's simply a chance to set aside time each month to sit alongside others who understand the work. For dates, times, and details, head to boardofdirectors.world and pull up a chair at the table. Join the board. There are friendships that begin slowly, and then there are the rare ones where you meet someone and immediately recognize a kindred spirit. That was my experience with Copeland Woodruff. We met more than 20 years ago at a summer intensive with City Company, surrounded by artists searching for new languages of performance, and from the beginning, I felt a real kinship with him, not just artistically, but personally. Even then, Copeland was deeply curious, deeply generous, and already asking questions that pushed beyond inherited structures and traditions. But Copeland comes from the opera world, a world that many theater directors, myself included, often view as mysterious, intimidating, or rigidly hierarchical. But what Copeland has spent his career doing is finding ways to humanize that world, to create rehearsal rooms built on empathy and collaboration rather than fear and hierarchy, and to reimagine opera as something alive, emotionally immediate, and radically inclusive. In this conversation, we talk about the structures of the opera world and how to navigate them differently than traditional theater. We talk about permission to play, to fail, to experiment, to lead with vulnerability rather than authority. And we talk about the future of opera, not as a museum piece, but as a living form capable of holding contemporary stories and communities. More than anything, this conversation was a joy, a chance to reconnect with an old friend and to step deeper into understanding an art form that I've long loved from a distance. This is my conversation with Copeland Woodruff. Copeland, it's so great to see you. It's so great to catch up with you again. We met years ago at City Company, Saratoga Summer Intensive, which isn't necessarily where people expect an opera director to emerge or come from. So what drew you there?
I had met Anne in the company in, I can't remember whether it was fall of 98 or spring of 99, somewhere in there, 98, 99, the season that we met at Lincoln Center when Anne and the company were remounting Brecht and Weil's Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
And my friend David Gorbarkowitz, he had been at New York City Opera for years, and he said, we need to do all the shows together this year. And I went, okay, awesome. I love you. Great. And I said, well, I don't know. I don't really want to just do like a little one act. And he goes, no, you're going to need to do this. And I go, okay. And so I walked into the room, and Anne was sitting there with, leaning against her ubiquitous stool, with her score on her stand. And I'll probably cry thinking about it, but I watched magic happen. I watched magic happen. I watched actors working with each other without speaking, with just like Anne saying like some pulling them in and them going, yeah, shut up. And then going out and just everything just changing like alchemy. And I thought, fuck, this is the way I've always dreamed theater could be, but I didn't think it could happen. And especially in my world, in opera. And I told Anne that at the end of the rehearsal, probably I feel like I had tears in my eyes. Who knows? It's all in the mist now. And she said, yeah, you want to go to lunch? And I thought, fuck, yes.
Yes.
And so like she and the company we would go to lunch and just talk. And it was so inspiring. And I felt like, imposter syndrome. I felt like such an imposter, but I felt like so welcomed. And it gave me a vocabulary that I had been using on my own, but I didn't have a technique for it, that I just sort of been doing on my own and figuring shit out since I was little. And it was, so that's how I was very lucky. And then I followed them around and talked to Anne and the company and Leon and JD and
Yeah.
all of them. And they were just so lovely. And I thought, you know what? I'm heading off to this new job, and I just want to take this summer and just go in. And I was old. I was as old as the company at that time. I think I was the oldest participant there that wasn't a company member. I'm not
Maybe.
sure, but
Maybe, yeah.
it was very interesting.
Young at heart, though, I might
Young
explain.
at heart. Well, thank
obviously.
you. Yeah.
So you've alluded to, because you said right before this, like she was the first person to see you, to see what
Yeah.
you were doing or what you were attempting.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, but I'd love you to describe. I have a stereotyped idea of what an opera rehearsal room is like. I think a lot of people have a stereotyped idea
Sure.
about that. In every stereotype, there is also some grain of truth.
Truth. Oh, yeah.
So can you talk about what a stereotypical opera rehearsal room is like versus what it is that you saw them doing that you wanted to bring back into and make your rehearsal room?
I will not name names, but I will talk stereotypically that, what typically happens in opera is that the singers learn their music first. That's it. You learn your music. How can you not? And I agree. Yeah, whatever. But then if it's in foreign language, then you're learning the foreign language. You're learning what words mean where are the verbs, where are the nouns, what's inspiring me to then respond back. It's all the same stuff. But that's done with a coach the coach is a pianist who then is coaching you and making you sound better and helping you with some things, but also coaching the music and the stylistic concerns of the piece itself and where it falls. Then you go into a rehearsal room. You'll have a sing through, and then we'll start working. And then it all depends on the background of the director. And it also depends upon the
I see you trying to be very political here.
because the room is very political. You have to figure out whether the conductor is going to be leading the charge, whether the director is going to have to find some way to then navigate that, whether the conductor is more of a collaborator, whether the conductor is in the room at all. I've been in places where the assistant conductor's there, so they're kind of doing it. It's just so, yeah. So you will then have directors who it's getting so much better now. They're such young directors and directors coming from theater background, from movies, from all sorts of things. But when I was coming up, it was mainly singers who had then been kind of either retired into directing or found it for some reason, who didn't really have a background, a training in directing. And so it was very much the old style of Goldovsky. Boris Goldovsky was a coach and conductor. Many of these people had never walked on a stage before, and they were instructing people how to act. And there was a lot of, pointing to your heart for when you say heart and stuff. And all of that is also tied into America and how America saw opera. We had these gigantic theaters that no one could, you had to sing flat out a lot of the time, or else you couldn't be heard over the orchestra. Because anyway, and the populace didn't speak the European languages fluently. So you had to do a little bit of that. And that's sort of like carried over. And I don't mean to say that that acting was horrible. There were certainly fantastic actors and amazing artisans, and I don't mean to denigrate them at all, but it was very much of the director is telling you, you need to cross here and pick up the cuffietta on this beat. This is where you drop it. You need to give this person this on this beat and this beat. And it was just all very choreographic, and then the actor was kind of left to swim in the deep end, trying to figure out how to go. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It really does.
As opposed to what I like to do, which Anne cared about every single person's presence in that room. Assistant stage managers, the rehearsal pianist, the cover singers. I hate hierarchy in that room. And when I teach now, no one calls me professor. No one calls me Mr. Woodruff. They call me Copeland because I am asking so much of them. I'm asking for them to be vulnerable with me. So if I can't be vulnerable with them, then where are we?
Yeah. Do you think, where do you think, I mean, I understand historically how we've gotten here. Is it Is it time? Is it money? I mean, what keeps it from? I mean, ultimately, I'm asking like, there are sacrifices when doing it another way. So Anne's way, your way, that this new way that you saw it. There are things that had to be let go. There are things we cannot do because we're going to do it this way.
Yep.
Why? What do you think the barriers, the real barriers, are from doing that way?
I think that the main barrier is time and money in the States. In Europe, especially like in Germany and the German houses, it's a government job.
Sure.
You have months to work on a production. Whereas in America, especially like the smaller regional houses, you're going to have, if you're lucky, including production week, a month. Lucky. Typically, like in the smaller houses, you got 2 weeks. You're coming in, you've got a chorus coming in as well. You've got them these certain hours. If they're union, if not, then they're probably just coming from a job. So you've only got them in the evening. So you have to get all of your principals during the day. And so and the orchestra time is expensive. So yeah, I think that a lot of it is time. I think that it's born predominantly out of that. Plus, a lot of people are coming in and the older singers have done this role 30 times. So they're going, no, this is where I like to do this shtick, right?
Right.
Or no, I really think this. Can we work this? So it's just fast. You go here, you go there. You know, hi, welcome. I'm your husband, and then you go about life, right?
There's not time to explore, or sometimes things have ossified and you don't want to explore.
Exactly. And you have to, as a director in opera in the regional houses, you're having to suss that out. Just like the conductor, you're going, okay, this person's done Figaro 8,000 times.
Yeah.
Is he going to listen to this thing, or am I going to have to just kind of work around, you know, or change stuff? Unless it's a new production.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have more.
Well, I do want to talk about that because that's a different beast altogether sometimes. But that's a rare thing. Like, I mean, it used to be this case in theater, but it's no longer the case anymore, that you're going to play Romeo 7-8 times in your career, that you're going to, you know, that you're going to have these big parts and you're going to be known for them, and you're just going to tour around do that.
Yeah.
I'll see things all the time, and I'll see that somebody who's playing Carmen here will also be playing Carmen in San Diego later this year,
next month,
or whatever, and that's really interesting. But then you are getting possibly their first rendition of Carmen every single time,
or a later one that they really liked.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There are several reasons why I went to academia. And that's one of them.
To explore.
And I had more freedom, but I really saw when I was at City and assisting around, singers would say, oh my God, I wish I'd known this when I was growing. I wish I'd been taught this. When I would say, oh, well, what about this? And I would go, oh my God, I would really love to go back and be part of that educational process to help them, because what I find singers doing is heroic. I really think they're heroic. I don't know any other way, because they are literally doing Olympic gymnastics while acting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And the reason why one Carmen may do that is because roles are very type specific, voice type specific, and your very personal instrument will do this role, and sometimes you can do this role, but maybe not. So you start getting known for, especially Verdi and Puccini and the larger, and Wagner. I mean, you've got to acoustically sing over a huge orchestra and a huge chorus.
I mean, I'm a huge lover of opera, but I'm learning so much from this. Things that seemed obvious now that you're saying it, but like, oh, you're right. Every actor wants to believe, oh, I can play everything. But in this case, like, there are physical limitations to the instrument. You cannot play everything. There's a certain window of things that you can play.
Yeah. That's why I ended up falling into directing.
So
I was a singer.
You were a singer? Okay, because this was my question.
Yeah, I was.
So you knew opera was your path, but you didn't know that directing was how you were going to get there.
I knew that theater with music was my path. was
Okay.
my path. But I also considered Marlowe and Shakespeare as being music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hear the rhythm in it. I hear the beauty of the poetry in it. So it's very much lyrical theater to me. And Schiller and Goethe. And I mean, it's just, but yeah, I went over to Germany, had a Rotary scholarship. And so I went over, and then I found out that my instrument, it's good. It could have been serviceable, but I didn't like the roles I was going to have to sing. I would have had to been doing a lot of operetta, and I was a very serious singer. So please, you're right. Eisenstein again. Oh, right. But I mean, basically I did. I thought I really don't want to play these roles. And that's a whole different episode to talk about that. But I came back home and I didn't know what I was going to do. And my lovely mentor, Dr. Donald Gray, DG, he said, "You know what? You have always been great on stage. I want you to pick 2 scenes and I want you to direct them on this scenes program." I said, "Fuck you. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in that." But he said, "Nope, you're going to do it." And so I picked 2 and it changed everything. I loved helping them. I loved being able to play again in a sandbox and not worry about whether I had a milkshake before rehearsal or whatever, or that I hadn't spent enough time in the practice room. And then I spent 2 years after that with him and just picking things out. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be jealous of the actors on stage that I was directing. Was very important to me because I had been with some people who had been singers and then abusive in the rehearsal room to singers, and I just didn't want to be that. And I found out that I loved it so much more than being up there, and that's how it all happened.
Okay, that's beautiful, and I want to back up from there. So I want origin story Copeland Woodruff. Was there a moment because you've opened the door to this? Was there a moment when you realized music wasn't just accompaniment, but your primary dramaturgical language?
In kindergarten.
Really? That early?
And I didn't remember it, but I went home to a high school reunion. I think it was my 30th. I'm not sure. 40th, maybe. I don't remember. And my friend, Roseanne Flippin, said, "Do you remember that day in kindergarten when we were allowed to do whatever we wanted to for an hour and you brought in your LP of The Sorcerer's Apprentice and you choreographed me and Angela in it?" And I went, "No." And then all of a sudden it came flooding back, and I went, "Motherfucker, I can't believe I was that bossy." And just, yeah, I guess I've always been doing it.
That's amazing.
I loved doing puppetry.
Yeah.
I love my friend Roseanne, also her mother, who ran the kindergarten, had a marionette theater. And we would, in 3rd and 4th grade, go to 1st grade and do improvised puppet shows. So it was just, I did magic shows. I mean, it's always been that for me. I think it was a way to, I mean, I'm a little gay boy from Northern Alabama. So there's some places where you just kind of gravitate, where you feel safe.
That does make sense. As you're saying this, I'm remembering like why I said why so early is because like one of my earliest theatrical memories.
Okay, wait.
One of my earliest theatrical memories, and I had to just double check to make sure is what I was doing right now, is I remember getting a cassette for Talking Heads' Little Creatures.
Hell yeah.
And having it in my Walkman and listening to it on my couch. And I guess I would have been in elementary school and listening to the entire album and making it into what I didn't know at that time was a play or a musical in my head.
Yeah.
And it really has been such a huge influence. I mean, their music in general, but
right.
But that kind of thing of live music, of performed music, of storytelling in music. So you saying that actually I go, oh, I guess
yeah.
I have as well. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's deep, isn't it? It runs deep. And also, I mean, both of us are Southern boys. Uh-huh. So there is such a history and a culture of storytelling.
Yeah.
My grandparents, I was raised by them. On Sunday afternoon, we would go and visit Uncle Doc and oh my God, isn't that awful? I'm so old, I can't remember. Anyway, his wife. And they would sit on the porch. I would play by myself in the front lawn, and they would sit there and laugh and tell yarns all afternoon.
Yeah.
So I think that there's this, And my grandmother taught me early on to see the toy in everything, and it will keep you young.
That's lovely.
Right? So I come by it honestly. I'm literally 8 years old. I don't think I've ever grown up.
Oh no, that's one of the first things I learned about you and respect about you, and like you say that you were the same age as everybody else, as the ones who were instructing, but like you felt so young.
No.
Not in, I mean, just in a spirit way.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
That you know, people can't see, but you're wearing a sugar skull shirt covered with beautiful sugar, like, and your office is decorated. It's just like, yes, absolutely, this is the spirit that you have and that you bring, which is what I gravitated toward and why I loved you so much.
Same. This look of wonder.
Yeah. Well, curiosity and not what is, but what can be.
Can be. Yep.
Yeah. Not a disrespect for the past, but going like, those are great shoulders to stand on. I'm actually looking in that direction, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and to see that happen in Anne's room.
Yeah.
To just see people just playing. And Leon was being put into Bondo's role. I think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So he was coming in, Bondo had done the first one, and Bondo was there for a little while, and then Leon was coming in doing it. I'm going, what the hell? Anyway.
Well, what's fascinating is because you mentioned the first opera that I ever saw was also Seven Deadly Sins, not Anne's.
Oh.
But it was at Cincinnati Opera, where I had a partner of mine was a stage manager, and I just got tickets and I got to go on a Saturday matinee, and I was just like, I mean, I'd known about opera, obviously, but I wasn't, at that point, I think I was still an actor. I was in the transition point of being an actor to a director, and I got to watch that and go, my God. Because there's so many, I hate to say this, but I've watched so many plays where there's not really an opinion on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you can do Seven Deadly Sins and not have an opinion. You kind of have to have
someone else's opinion.
Well, you can have someone else's opinion, certainly. I mean,
which has happened in opera for a very long time, and theater.
But exactly, theater. Like I watched something recently where I was just like, well, I'm pretty sure I've seen this version of this play before,
right?
and this is why we don't like this play,
right?
But there was such a beautiful, and it was a, I don't know if it couldn't have been in Rep, but it was around the same time. There was Seven Deadly Sins and then Turandot, and Turandot was done much more traditionally, and I got to see both of those back to back, and then right after meeting you, I was inspired with. I made a big purchase of my first subscription to the Met when I got back to New York. Shit. And fell in love from there. I got to direct a couple of one acts, but
awesome.
Just because I realized like, oh, I'm limited. I can't read music. I'm going to be a very limited director in this, and I really need to either shore this up and do it or not. In terms of music, though,
I
feel like this is going to be a really ignorant thing to ask.
No.
and I thank you. I thank you for dealing with it, my ignorance.
No.
When music already knows where it's going, what freedom does a director still have?
A lot.
Okay, great.
Because for me, I tell my casts, a lot of the time we often have in the past seen the music as well, I mean, it all started with kind of Wagner with the leitmotif where this character's blah, blah. But I'm not of that school. I think a lot of the time it's the audience's response to this. Or even more importantly, I don't know more importantly, but also the actor has to make the music rather than respond to it. So whatever they're doing, and I'm really lucky to be finishing my academic career with my colleague Kristen Roach, because I love her in the room because we're both there, because she'll sit there and go, well, why does this music happen now? And I'm going, yeah, it's a really good question. Let's find out. And then we talk to the cast. And so I kind of got lost. I think that I mean, the music is important, but I always tell them, this is there. What's your counterpoint? What's your counterpoint to this?
That's doing that. Why do you need to also do that?
Exactly. Yeah. I always say, Kristen's got that. we've got that down pat. How are you responding to that? How are you making that? What are you grinding against in that? Is that something that's holding you back so that it isn't? I mean, we look at movies. We look at movie soundtracks. Oftentimes it's telling the audience what to feel, which makes me feel really manipulated. But how are we interacting with this thing? What do you have to bring to add to this? To not to cover it up, but to maybe bring light to it, to make it pop even more.
And so you are, as you've just said, you're ending your academic career, but not ending your career, not ending your directing career. No. Okay,
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Like, I'd like a period of not doing it, and we'll find out. I'm sure that I will channel it in directions.
Okay. You have to write a book or something, or come do workshops, or that thing. So you're leading an opera studies program at Lawrence University.
Yeah.
This is for performers, or is there direction in there as well?
Just for performers. I also have the singers do backstage work, so they have to have a certain number of credits in stage management or crew or whatever it be, because I learned, one of the biggest things I learned, I assisted Francesca Zambello at Santa Fe a couple of times, and I was so taken by her the first time I worked with her. I mean, yes, in the room and stuff, but to watch her when we were on stage and watch her go past a little 17 and 18-year-old stage crew and greet them individually by name. And thank them and ask them some history about them and know them. And it wasn't performative. Yeah. It was her really understanding and seeing them. And that changed. I went, holy crap. Everyone is important in this. I mean, you knew it, but like really. And so I want my singing actors to know that, and to respect what a little bit of water, to respect everybody's contribution.
Yeah.
Everybody's.
Yeah.
Which is another thing Anne did in the room. And it was just, So
when I met Francesca once, and the one thing that I remember taking away from that was learn every single person's name. Learn the technician who's up on the up on the fly rail on the third one to the back, who's only here today. Like, learn everybody. And I was just like, that's so many people. That's amazing that she can do that, but that there's the impetus and the desire to do that, so that it's not we're here to serve this one person's vision. No, we're here to serve the story, and all of us together make the story happen. I can't, it's the thing of, I tell my directing students, one-man bands play street corners, orchestras play, concert halls. It's like, it is that thing of like, absolutely, I can design my own shows. Absolutely, I can do it all myself. And I have for a long period of my career. But the expanding out of that, of your contribution, of everybody being an artist in the room, it's just a beautiful, beautiful thought that she does easily just by learning the names. Just by learning the names.
Right. And to notice the chemistry. Because at Santa Fe, you're doing lighting from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. because it's an outdoor theater. And because they're doing, 1,200 shows and whatever. So you're doing it, after dark and after rehearsals are over. So you're there. So those crew have been there all day and night. They would have bent over backwards for her to do anything because she respected their work. It made a difference. It felt like a team.
So beyond learning everyone's name, which, I mean, talk about a takeaway of nothing else. Just if that's all you get from the podcast, folks, there you go. You will have fundamentally changed American theater.
That's right.
So beyond that, what does a good rehearsal room look like in opera? And okay, let me say this. What would an ideal rehearsal room look like in opera?
I don't know. I know what my ideal looks like, so I can speak to that.
Yeah.
Mine is that I walk in as a young director, especially in opera. You come in and you have all your blocking written in your score, and here's where you cross here. And still, when there's some comedic shit and you've got to have timing and stuff, or you're doing something very stylized, sure. But Ideally to have time. Ideally to be able to sit and empower the actors rather than seeing them as just hired help. You speak about designing. All of my I do some weird shit with my directing. I would probably do better in Germany. One of the reasons why that I went to academia, because I thought I'm never going to be. Everybody was telling me you're not going to be able to do this shit, and you're going to have to do. They're going to have a rented set. You have drop set. You're going to have to do this, you know. And so I design and I find concepts for what's going on that are going to help the actor do their job. And I think part of it is Jean-Guy. You remember that summer that we
Oh, yeah.
Jean-Guy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I will never forget that opening thing. He comes up there. The very first thing he said was, "You have to make a space where the actor can speak."
Full stop
I mean,
period.
that was worth the entire tuition that I paid for that. That moment, I went, that is exactly right. So for me, I want to give obstacles, or I want to give space where they can play. I want to be able to, especially with young singers. Opera singers are generally young singers, even if you're in a graduate school, unless you've been to some foo-foo place. But even then, you probably haven't had extensive acting training.
Uh-huh.
You've been doing it on the fly. You've been picking up what works for you. You've been holding on to it because you're scared to let go of it, because I know this works and the audience responds to this. So to really see them and to say, hey, this modernization this can help you come into this and understand it better, or this stylized thing is going to give you a lot of shit to play with and to fight for. And so mainly my shit is just I'm very actor based. I'm very interested in moment to moment. I'm very interested in making it about the people that are there. I don't know. I like time. I like no hierarchy between conductor and director. We have our own stuff, and we fight for our own stuff, and that's awesome. And I respect that. I do. I know when I need to go, okay, yep, they need to come down stage right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody's honking and the orchestra brought a friend, you know, so you gotta help them out, right? But yeah, I want a place to play. I want a sandbox, and not just for me. Who cares about me? And I don't know whether patting myself on the back, but I felt kind of good when I found out that Brecht would say in his rooms what I had been saying. He'd go, "Who wrote this?" When it's his own play, right? I mean, I still to this day will walk up to actors and go, that the director doesn't know what he's doing. You've got to help him out. You've really got to help him out. He's an idiot. He's asked you to do this. Who knows why? So that they feel,
I literally said this same thing a couple of weeks ago in my own rehearsal room. It's like, who did that? That's a horrible idea. Throw that away. Fire that guy. Never listen to him again.
Right.
But here we go. Here's what we're going to do.
Right? I think that idea of that, whenever there's a joke, my friend Ken Kazan, I don't know if you know Ken. He just finished, I think he's retiring next year from USC, Southern Cal. Anyway, he was kind of the bad boy of opera for a while, doing wild concepts and stuff, and he and I have been friends since Santa Fe, and I love him. I got to see him just play, and I just want to play. I don't want to have any hierarchy in the room. I don't know. I'm trying shit out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes I make a big swing and it goes into the stands, and sometimes you miss and the catcher gets it.
Do opera performers need different permission than actors? Do you think that? Okay. All right. Full stop period. All right.
Yes, because they are so used to, and I think that of course it's getting better, but I think that I will not say who, but I've gotten calls from directors who have had my students and said, "Could you just tell them to fucking do what I asked them to do? We don't have time for this." And I go, And so I call up my students and I go, this is your job right now. you go there, you pick up the fork on this beat, and you take care of the inner work, and you make it work. This
And
is
then,
not a sandbox for you right now, or
yeah,
it's a different sandbox.
right.
Yeah, so I think that they're beaten a little bit, and they're
Mm,
often beaten also in their younger days by, I don't wanna say beaten, but they are. I mean, they're very our instrument is ourselves. It's very personal. You can't see it. It's not like a violin. You can't see it, so it's all imagery. And they have so much imagination, but then they're often told, "Nope, you're late on this. Nope, you've got to have the consonant right before this so that the vowel hits so that it sails through. No, you've got to think that." All of that. So that they are so hyper of doing the right thing at the right time that they're so scared that they're going to do the wrong thing that you need to give them permission to say no. To I tell them, okay, you're going to go here to here. I have no idea. I I don't know how many, but I don't know how you're going to do it. They're used to, well, am I, and then using adjective, insert adjective. Am I here? Then I go, I have no idea. Here's what you're doing, what you want to have this other person do, but I have no idea what you're going to do to get there. And then, like, the first couple of rehearsals, they are really angry and they're
really?
really scared.
Wow.
And then,
Because it's new, because it's not the pattern.
exactly. And hopefully in an academic situation, you're going to have older students who are there
Yeah.
who are used to that abuse.
Yeah.
And they'll see them and respond to it. I remember a beautiful actor, he'll kill me for saying his name, but Nick Farron-Krug, who was a little sophomore doing a major role. He had to go into a major role last minute. He was the cover, but he had to go in, and there was a senior who was his double. And Eric Nordstrom, great singer, great actor. But Eric, Eric was just nailing it and just making funny things. It was a very funny show, Le Conservatory. No one does it, but it's fantastic. And we're doing very vaudeville-esque, and Eric was just hitting stuff. So Nick, being very, very on top of everything, A-type personality, he scheduled an immediate, like in the night, I got a request for a meeting the next day, and he goes, "I can't do this. I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. Look at Eric. He can probably do all of it." I went, "No." I said, "You know what? Watch Eric. And if he does something you like, steal it." And I said, "Because I can bet you that if he sees something that you do that he likes, he's going to steal that shit. Because we're all working here for the same thing." He goes, "Okay." And then about a week later, Nick did something that was just on top. And from the house, Eric goes, "I'm fucking stealing that." And it just, he wasn't the same. It just shifted in him that, oh, I can do something. I can make a choice. And I don't think that they're given enough permission. I love them. They're so
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah.
You give them dialogue, holy shit. You may as well ask them to hop on the rack. They are so scared of speaking, but they're so beautiful at it.
No, I love that because I have this debate with some of my students, with some of my colleagues as well, of being an interpretive artist versus a generative artist. And
Yeah.
obviously so much of opera is an interpretive artist.
Yes.
Meaning like,
Yes.
you're just reinterpreting this role over and over
That's
again.
exactly right.
It's not expanding
This
out
is
versus
the tradition. Yep.
versus then going like, well, how do I do this role as if there is not a history behind it, as if there is not the baggage that comes with it, as if this is the only thing I'm going to do this year, then what would I do with it? Is a different think of it altogether. You had mentioned before about the physical limitations of the instrument only allowing performers to do certain things. Do you think, for roles, yes, do you think, obviously not having the physical limitation, do you think there are, at least in your career as well, are there operas that like, oh, I don't touch those operas. Those aren't operas. Those aren't operas that I do. Those aren't things that I'm good at. Is this not the same?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think. I mean, I have an affinity for certain things. I love dark.
Yeah.
I love dark shit. but that's who I am. I also love incredibly funny shit. I grew up with Carol Burnett. She is the queen of the world, period. Period,
Yeah.
basta così.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I love when the two come together. I love Giovanni. I know that's a hot topic, but I love Giovanni, and for lots of reasons. And I think that everyone in that piece is a victim, and everyone is also a perpetrator. Not of the same things, but so it's just I don't know. I like dark and I like funny. I've never really been drawn to directing Puccini. I assisted it a lot. I think it's great. I just think that I don't know. It seems to already kind of stage itself, to be quite honest. And you can do some things, but it always seems a little, I don't know. It's just never really interested me. I mean, I've done, as an educator, you do a lot of scenes programs because you have a lot of students and you need to serve all of them. And here we only do one main stage double cast every year. So you have a lot of scenes programs. So I've done some Puccini scenes and some Verdi scenes over the years with grad students. And yeah. But no, I don't think so. I feel more at home in other things. Early 17th century stuff, love it. And late 20th and 21st century stuff, I love. We just premiered a world premiere that we commissioned. So I love that stuff. I love creating.
Well, that's what I'd love to talk about, what modern opera is, what contemporary opera is, because one of the things that I think, I mean, opera can do this because rights or whatever, I guess, is a constant recontextualization for a modern audience.
Mm.
And I personally, this is a personal opinion, I just don't like seeing something done as if it was done then, because it can become a museum piece.
Oh, 100%.
At the same time,
I'm uninterested in that.
Yeah. At the same time, then you have the Romeo Castellucci's or the Callisto Bietos who are like, and I want to I want to completely destroy everything that we know about this.
Hell yeah.
And of course that's, you can't go to Piedmont Opera and see that version. You can't, he's not coming in to do that. So there's some in between place that's happening.
She would.
I wish she would as well. When you're working with a modern opera where there's not that tradition, where there's not a long performance history, where maybe even it's a premiere, and the whole game is brand new. Now it's about dramaturgical analysis. Now it's about building something instead of learning something. Can you talk about the difference between? Is it night and day? Are there carryovers? Is it a different beast?
This is where I get in trouble, and why that I left the, whatever you want to call it, professional world, whatever, because I don't see a difference.
Okay. Explain,
I don't.
Please help.
I see a piece, when I did Le Conterie, I went, what's this? Or Curlew River, which is, I mean, some people would argue that it's new. It's 1950. Come on. But, I mean, doing something from the 17th century, I think that people are people. We've all been people. We've all seen people do things with people. We're all capable of horrible things. We're all capable of empathy and compassion, whether we choose. I'm looking for the story, and I'm looking for the humanity in it. Does that, I mean, of course there's no history or no baggage with it, but the way that I've done things, the last time I did Figaro, when in Act 3, that's a bachelor party. That's a bachelorette party, right?
Yeah.
It is. So I had a priest come in, and he was a stripper priest, and then he starts doing shit, and then they had, what was it? One penis forever, thing. But that's literally what they're saying in the song. I mean, they're literally saying, I'm going to be with this one dick for the rest of my life. But, I'm in Catholic Wisconsin. So some woman gets up and runs past me and goes, not funny. I'm going, and I just looked and I said, well, I can't hear the singers of the orchestra because of the laughter. So I beg to differ. But I don't see, I see the story. I see people. And I want to know. Why we're watching this right now. Why? Who is the audience at that moment? Are we museum guests? I don't want to be that. When I
are we here
ticket.
Because this is a good cultural thing to do, and this is what good
gross.
Cultured people do? I hate that.
Ew. Yeah. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. It happens in theater too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, you don't have the history and the baggage, you don't have to explain yourself, but I find that I've never really people either like or don't like what I do, and I don't care, as long as we're telling stories. And, I've gotten, "Oh, you can't do that, you can't do this," and I'm like, "What really?
Watch
Well,
me.
why not?" Right. Well, it seems like I can because it's happening. And, and I'm not that much of a bad boy. I'm not. But in America and in the opera world, I tend to be. Um, and I don't know why. It's boring to me. Is that
No, it absolutely does because there seems to be a disconnect. Whenever I see opera overseas, internationally,
yeah,
I mean,
right?
it's everything and the kitchen sink.
Everything.
Topics, taboos, anything
Yeah.
in service of the story. Sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes
Not.
legitimately not. Sometimes there's
Provocateur.
a
Right?
provocateur. I'm just there for the director's ego, but a lot of times it is. I mean, I watched a version of Carmen a couple of weeks ago here, and it was fine. It was a museum piece, and
It was
then I went
Carmen.
home and then I watched online Calixto Bieto's Carmen, and I go, oh well, this is what it could be.
Exactly.
And it doesn't seem like this is actually that much harder to do. It just takes a little bit of opinion of just
And
changing the
courage.
set, honestly. Courage, yeah.
And courage.
Yeah. Not to denigrate what the
And
work that's being done, because I don't want to denigrate,
no,
a small opera
no,
organization in a community
no.
that is
It's
there
interesting you
for
talked
it.
about the singers need permission in opera. I think directors in opera also need permission. I had never thought about that, but that's exactly right. It's not the courage. I think that it's just the permission. I remember when I first came here, one of the faculty members here said, "Oh, well, I mean, we need to do something traditional because we are the only opera in town." And I said, "Well, that seems like an opportunity
Right, and to do
to
the other.
educate."
Right.
Right? And number 2, I'm not sure that the public is paying as much as the students are
Mm,
for this education.
right.
So I'm more interested in doing a production that is going to teach them and give them permission and give them courage and give them agency than to resurrect something.
I mean, because opera already has I don't think I'm saying anything out of school here. It has an uphill battle already in society. If
Yeah.
if Timothy Chalamet didn't put that front and center for all of us to think about.
Whatever. My
I
grandmother
know.
used to say opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one and they all stink.
But what I mean is, like, there are sometimes legitimate boundaries to the
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
In terms of
Yes.
access, in terms of whose story is being told, who is on stage, all those kind of things. To
Yeah.
then also have, and we're also going to put an aesthetic barrier as well.
Yep.
We're going to
Yep.
put a distance barrier so that you can't connect with it. It's already hard enough for you to get here and be in this marble building downtown with a white guy's name on it and see on stage a portion of society that doesn't represent what the United States looks like usually. That's on theater stages as well. But we're also going to put the barrier of time and distance culturally, aesthetically as well. What are you seeing when you're working on these new operas? Like, what are the stories that are like punching through and getting through? Like, what are the things that surprise you and amaze you about opera's resiliency in that respect in storytelling?
I loved the tendency about, I think it started around 15 years ago, maybe 20, but probably 15 years ago, in that kind of movement that Anne was talking about, in that we're getting away from the regional company where everybody's there and they're in there and then everybody does the show. And we're getting more to a traveling theater kind of feel, that type of family doing things. And the most interesting work, I don't think most, but it certainly changed me, was working with guerrilla opera in Boston. It was always, they had things written for 4 instruments, 4 singers, period, and around 30 minutes. And they brought me in to reimagine their first show. And I fell in love. Then I was able to do 2 premieres with them after that. And it was just amazing to just work in a small company and not have to worry about anything and not have to worry about, I mean, we were telling some insane stories, but I really love that. I love dark, so there's a lot of dark. There's a lot of humor. Rudy Royan did he was the composer for all of that. And he's brilliant and funny, and I love him. He's my brother. But like the new thing, like with Evan Mack and Josh McGuire, that we just premiered A Nearer Mother based on Ruth Coker Burke's advocacy during the beginning of the AIDS crisis.
Mm.
So for me, I've been personally trying to serve the audience the demographic that I have in my school. And there are a lot of queer students here. And it's very important to me to give that history and to have space for their history, but let them know that there's a context and what that context was, at least my experience of it or other people's experiences of it. I used to do I've been very lucky. I keep saying that in my life. I'm a very lucky man. And with the people I've met, with the opportunities I've had, with the spirit that my grandmother fostered in me to be curious and to just keep going and find your people. But I was asked several years ago, we have this thing called first year studies, where all of the freshmen or first years learn the same books, and then teachers who don't normally teach in those subjects are also teaching them writing about it. So everybody is on the same page and everybody's new to all of it. So an English teacher may be teaching a physics book. Well, they did Angels in America, and they said it's very important for us to have a queer voice give the lecture because everybody gives a lecture. So I was very lucky to do that, and it was the hardest work I've ever done, going back and reliving that time period. It took me a year to do that lecture, to get it together, and it was horrifying to remember that and to relive all of that and the loss and the fear and the indifference that we're seeing again, and keep seeing again and again and again. But I felt very lucky doing that. But I got so much response for those 6 years. I think I did it for 6 years, 6 years, from straight students coming up and saying, thank you, I didn't know this, from queer students coming up, this awash with tears saying, thank you so much. We've never seen a teacher be out and do this and tell us our history. So it was just that means something to me. And those stories mean something to me. And I don't know if that's what you're asking, but those are the things I'm interested in. I'm interested in who are we serving? And I think that's why it came from. It's not just because I'm queer and because I like to tell stories and talk about the 80s and AIDS and all that stuff. It's because I see non-binary students. I see trans students. I see so many students have come out during like Hydrogen Jukebox as bi or... So I don't know. I just leaving room for the people who need to be seen. I also love I've been lucky enough to work with students on the spectrum. I think that's lovely. Oh my God. I learned so much from everyone I work with, and I learned so much from them as well. And I'm lucky.
It's great because I was sitting here thinking my next question was going to be, what does opera need to become in the next 20 years? But you're already kind of speaking to it right now, that this kind of radical inclusion, which we've all been talking about and we all pay lip service to, but to actually say like, no, opera was the popular entertainment form. It was our Netflix, it was whatever we have on our phone. And
we have an opera house in Oshkosh.
Right, exactly. So like it was all that there was for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then something shifted, and a lot of organizations and a lot of institutions, I'm not talking about opera, I'm talking theater as well, are still doing the old thing, thinking that there's not a phone in our pocket with all the world's entertainment.
Right?
And so a lot of organizations never shifted the purpose to go, oh, we don't have to take care of entertainment. Not that we don't need to be entertaining. Absolutely. That is a vital part of it.
Yeah.
Entertainment is no longer the sole purpose. There's something else that we can do that these other things cannot do. Netflix will never create community.
No.
it will never
Not
create
even with their watch party that doesn't work.
Exactly. We may all love insert, Netflix, phenomenon right here, but like we're not going to get together and watch it together, really, honestly. But opera,
unless it's
theater,
heated rivalry.
well,
then we get together and watch
then we
that
get
shit
together
in
and watch
sports
it in a
bars.
different way,
Right.
exactly. But that's great to say that like the operas that are being created now are so invested in the human
Yep.
human story
Yes.
and the stories that are not being told,
Yes.
or making us see ourselves in a different and sometimes alarming way, which is a beautiful thing. So I have undergraduate directors here. I'm training them mostly in theater. We do have an opera institute where there's no communication, there's no relationship with them. How does a young director get into opera? Solve this problem, Copeland. Solve it right here, right
I'm
now.
going to solve it right here in 2 minutes. I think you assist. Like I said, I've been lucky. That's going to be on my urn. When I was at Memphis for those 6 years, the theater department, it was one of the first times that the theater department and the music department worked together. And I really felt I was part of their family, and they made me feel that way. And that's very rare. It's very rare to feel that as a primary opera director. So the head of the directing program sent one of his directors over who was interested in musicals. He had been on Chris Carter, love him, one of my best friends. He had created Scooby and Shaggy in London, and he had also done the other Phantom of the Opera in New York. So I mean, but we were both from Birmingham. He was from Huntsville, I was from, but we both studied with the same voice teacher, like 30 years apart. It was just lovely kismet. But he came in and this director said, "Oh, I think you should go assist Copeland and learn from Copeland." And so he came in, and it was great. And he's gone on because he just wanted to go and become a high school. He wanted to give back to a Huntsville community, and he is a fucking phenomenon. But he was there and like watching. So I think that finding someone you trust and like their work, go and assist with them, learn languages, learn to read music, learn to read a full orchestra score so you know what instrument is playing where. It's if you're going to like really go into the business, you're going to need to know languages and how they really work, like really speak the languages. There's no way that you can not and know the Feinigkeiten, the little minuscule things that you need to know about each culture within its time period. I love it because I love reading and I love languages and I see music as a language, as a foreign language. So I've always been drawn to it, to all of those things. And it's just lucky that I found something where I could kind of blend all those things together. But I think that finding someone to observe or assist that you really like their work. I would say that about theater too, wouldn't you? I mean, there's technique to learn. And when I was at Memphis, I was able to do some directing classes. I typically don't have, the students are too worried about singing to bifurcate. But yeah, it was beautiful to work with them and to have them direct some stuff and watch and to be in there. Does that?
It does. It's one of those things where it's not just my students here. I have a former student, Cristobal, from Mexico, one of my favorite students, who's now is a colleague and a friend, dear friend.
Isn't that great?
It's so great. And I knew he was a director when I was teaching him as technically as an actor.
Right.
And he kind of fell into opera. And it's one of those things where like, he's now at the point where he's like, I need some formal training. I think I need to figure out, like, I mean, he's doing all the great things. He's working. He's already, assisting people at the Bellas Artes in Mexico City, like doing some great stuff, really wonderful things. But I'm just speaking really, I'm really proudly about him because I know he listens to the podcast. So,
hi, Cristobal, congrats.
But it's one of those things where there are paths, but there's not a very clear path of like, well, I do this and I do this and I do that. Like
There
there is for
was.
regional theater America
Right.
or, grad school for directing or acting like it is in America.
There was, and I'm going to get in such trouble, Adam. There was a path, and I did not like it. And
No, burn it down. It's okay.
you had to be an assistant director. Oh, no, sorry, an assistant stage manager, then fall into stage managing somewhere in a regional house, and then work up to being an assistant director. And then when that director couldn't remount their old tired production or even a good production, then the AD would be sent wherever it was and be able to remount that, and then the company would know them, and then they would try them out on some really traditional piece that the director couldn't fuck up probably, and then that's how you kind of like got in it. I was very uninterested in that, and plus I was being told I was too old to join it when I was 28.
What?
That
Wow.
I was too late. I should have
Wow.
been assistant managing when I was 20 and all that kind of shit. And I thought, you know what? Fuck all y'all. So that was the path. Thank God. I mean, some of that still happens, but thank God so much of it is not that anymore. I think it's with the introduction of theater artisans coming in, which has when they don't know the language and yeah, everything has its pluses and minuses, but I'm grateful for the influx. I'm grateful for the breaking down of that tired system. I mean, I understand it because you were having to learn the traditions. But what if you didn't want to?
Right. There's nothing else.
I was lucky because I assisted 3 strong directors. My first out of the gate, Francesca Zambello, Dottie Danner, and Anne. And I just got to, I got to see from Francesca. I sat there and I thought, I watched iconic use of props. Like it's very much that in the stuff that I assisted her on. And Dottie Danner was comedy gold. She was an old hoofer on Broadway. She was in the movie of The Producers.
Wow.
In one of the dance sequences, right? So I mean, she is just gold, and we've all come up through her. She's really great. And Anne is Anne. So.
Yeah.
Did that answer that?
It did. Yeah, no, it did. And I definitely am going to continue the conversation with Cristobal about this as well.
Yeah, just find someone you really like their work and just apply to regional houses and say, hey, I'd like to AD. Here are my credentials.
You're retiring.
I am.
He says happily.
I can't wait. I can't wait to read for pleasure.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait.
But you seemed not ready to commit to directing anymore, or at least not right now.
Yeah.
Where does that sit with you? When the urge comes back, when you get hungry again, or
maybe. I mean, I already
you need the time off.
I have 2 possible gigs next year and the summer following. Everyone always says if I want to come back, just let me know. So the places I want to direct, I could if I wanted to. I'm so excited to pass the torch to young directors. I'm so fucking excited to see what they do. I want people who are interested in educating and loving singing actors and giving them power and what that looks like from a younger generation. I don't know. I think it comes from I'm in an all undergraduate situation. So your listeners may not know, but in an academic situation in opera, you are limited very specifically to what specific voice types you have. So you can't just say, I want to do Tosca this year because it'll be great. And you can't. You have to go, I've got to serve these people. You hold auditions. These people are the people we need to serve. What can we do? Right. And I love that. I love that puzzle. I love how that it brings out a very strange repertoire or interesting ways of doing it, doing cross-casting or but seeing that light in their eyes is fucking awesome. And I'm like you, like I've seen people and I go, "You're gonna be a director."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you are. I have one right now. I'm going, "Oh yeah, he is so in trouble. He is so in trouble. He is too smart for his good." And yeah, and I'm I mean, who knows? I may go back to, around my community pulling out uh Sorcerer's Apprentice
There you go. Right.
and digging that back up, doing some
Practicing all
puppet
your life.
theater. Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I liked being I got on the stage, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago again, 20 years ago, I can't remember. And it was fun, uh, but I don't know. I'm I'm a huge introvert, and it takes a lot of my energy. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I understand very well, but I never would have thought you to be an introvert, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a crippling introvert.
Well, same.
Yeah, but you go in and you give,
Yes.
and then you want to go away and recharge.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand that completely. Like
Yep.
coming home drained every
Yeah,
single time so that I
yeah,
can be the person I need to be in the rehearsal room.
yes.
Yeah.
And on top of it, I mean, even in academia, it's not just that. If I could just go in the rehearsal room, awesome.
Yeah.
Or the classroom, awesome.
Yeah.
But all the other politics and all the other stuff that goes on and all the other eggshells you have to walk around to get what needs to happen for your kids,
Yeah.
it's exhausting, to be quite honest. I do the premiere is hopefully going to some other places, and I've been offered to do it somewhere else and possibly somewhere else. And I may say yes. I feel connected to that piece so much because it is so personal, but then also it is also very difficult to do that piece. Yeah. To have AIDS be the forefront and to have indifference be there. I mean, it has a lot of queer joy in it because, me. So so I find ways to have that in the piece that I think is necessary. Does that
No, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it holds. I don't wanna write a book. I don't wanna write a book. I know that I may end up doing some devised shit with who knows what. I don't know. But I'm not I want time to not
Yeah.
do for a
That's
while.
perfectly understandable.
And I picked a lovely place. I bought a place right outside of Palm Springs, California, baby.
Nice.
Yeah, it's so sweet. And the aforementioned Ken Kazan is also moving there when he retires. He's moving to Palm Springs.
Fantastic.
He makes more money than I do, apparently, or he and his husband. I'm permanently single.
My student asked this question. This is where I
Yeah.
start to draw the podcast to the close of saying a show that permanently changed you, the human being. So it's not I saw this show and then I stole this thing and or like
Oh,
I
right.
saw
Yeah,
I
yeah.
saw a show and like, oh, I wanted to do this, but like there was Copeland before this show and there was Copeland after this show and they were almost different genetically. There's something that opened up, exposed, changed about you from after seeing this thing.
Seven Deadly Sins with Anne. I don't know what else I can say. I mean, I was trying to find something else so I wouldn't be saying the
No,
same thing,
it's
but
fine.
her generosity and the company's generosity and to see how that room worked, there was before and after.
I talk about this a lot on the podcast, but also in our monthly get-togethers about we spend so much time training young actors and young singers as well how to warm up to get to the rehearsal, and we spend no time talking about what it takes to be the director to walk into the room, what our warm-up is. What you've mentioned now, what's been brought up, which is why it's so great, and there's no worries about mentioning Seven Deadly Sins or Francesca, is because there is a fundamental human shift of needing to know everybody's name, of being open and giving permission to all those things. Like, this, we have this meeting to go to, and this designer wants to talk to us, and then we've lost this funding. All of that happens before we come into rehearsal. And then we're supposed to be that satellite dish for that performer, that first audience. And what do we have to do? Who do we have to become to do that? And that's what you're mentioning are those things.
Yeah. What is that performance?
Yeah.
I mean, teachers were performing. I mean,
Absolutely.
In my acting class, I said, right now we're having a performance. I'm performing for you. You're performing for me.
For sure.
You're sitting here nodding that you understand. You may or may not.
Right.
It's what it is. We are, you may be nodding because you nodded off. I saw you go to sleep and now you're going, and really it's all a performance because we are so afraid to let people see us for who we are that we won't be loved. And yeah, it takes a lot. I try to be as transparent as I can. If I'm having a bad day, I'll say, you know what, I'm right here. And I will at times go, hey, you know what? If all of a sudden I get really intense, which I tend to, it has nothing to do with you or what you've done. I am frustrated with myself trying to find the words that are going to unlock this for you right now.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything you're doing. It has to do with me being there and how I've looked at, I don't notice things. Chris Carter, who I mentioned, who assisted me, he would say there was one rehearsal where, I have everybody on the floor. It's opera. You're always on the floor. And the couple was down there. And I mean, it seemed, to me, it just seemed right. But I sat down there with them, directing them and just being with them, and then stayed there. And Chris said, were you down? Because I needed to be there. I don't know. I didn't want to be above them, directing them and go back, sit in a chair and judge them. It just seemed like I was wanting some real intimacy. I think that it was, it doesn't matter. Yeah. We don't talk about it that much, do we?
Mm-mm.
I think that's, yeah.
I mean, it's the thing, again, I hearken back to the actor of, we teach them how to warm up, but we never give them the real cool down. The same thing with directors. We never talk about what a warm up to be that director is. And we also don't know how to let go after a rehearsal either.
No.
I'll sit and redirect something in my head all night long, or play a conversation how I could have said that better to an actor.
Oh my God. Yeah. Every day. Yeah. I think it's beautiful though.
Yeah.
I said this to the audience at the premiere this year. I just said, I really believe, just like people traveling somewhere and really living in a culture other than just visiting is necessary. I think if everyone had to do theater, we would be in a different world, because you have to walk in someone's shoes. You have to, I mean, I'm a tall, thin, effete gay man. I've been a villain more times than I can count, right? Because of stereotype bullshit. So I had to learn how to deal with that, with things that weren't me, or maybe were, and I didn't want to, it's that kind of shit. But it's the same thing with directing. We sit here and we look at our performance. It's a performance every time we're in there, whether we like it or not. It is. Every interaction's a performance with anybody. We're sitting there on the way to some meeting with someone, and we're playing out what we're going to say and what they might say and how we might turn it, whatever.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But, but you're right. We don't cool down. And especially when you're like in a rehearsal and you're having like a shift over between, like we were doing 2 1 acts, so you're like shifting over. There's no downtime for the cast. There's no downtime for you.
I'm going to come back to you and talk to you more. And now you're going to have a lot of free time on your hands. So
I will, and you can come out to Palm Springs, baby.
That's right. This is not a question about the best, but whose work, directing work, are you currently excited by or wish had more exposure, or you wish that, especially this audience who probably doesn't know opera directors, that you wish that they knew more about? So when they saw their name in their city, they would go and see them because they know, oh, they're going to do something that's kind of cool or subversive or cutting edge. Or so again, it's not about best, but who do you wish, like, they're doing some cool stuff and they need people to see them and support them? Ultimately, who else do I get on the podcast?
Calixto.
Okay, from your mouth to God's ears. Let me see if I can.
Right. I saw his Camino Real in Chicago years ago.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
The audience in Chicago did not know what to do with that. It was so amazing. I just sat there. My cheekbones hurt because I was just going, with my mouth wide open,
I can't
my eyes
believe
wide
he's
open.
getting away with that. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Kevin Newberry. It's exciting. He's retiring too, but Ken Kazan. I saw so much of his work. I was lucky enough to assist him on a couple of shows. It always came from the heart. It always was about the actors. He gave space for them. It was he was an actor and came up through theater and then fell into opera. I don't remember how. But yeah, his work was amazing. He was at Central City for the past couple of years, but he stopped being on the regional circuit because people were scared of him. Yeah, it happens. The regional circuit is probably not a place to do that. I would say your university, like, just go and see what's going on. And if that doesn't pique your interest, then find another one that's close to it. Because I think academic opera is the place where you can really take risks here. Or if you're in Boston, go to Guerrilla Opera. And I'm sure there are hundreds. I'm sure there's some LA ones. I can't remember their names right now. There are plenty of like small, just, grunge opera that's going on. Go to that. Support that. They need you. And it's usually small places. The stuff that's going on at Philadelphia Fringe, go to that. I don't see a lot of. Luckily, I do see a lot of seldom heard voices in regional houses now. That's interesting. And most of it's contemporary, so it's going to have less of the cobwebs on it. So you'll get a chance with that. And some of the younger directors, just check it. Stuff at St. Louis. They're doing good stuff. And I don't mean to leave anybody out.
No,
you know what I'm
exactly,
saying? But it's go to Germany or to France.
Yeah.
Or to Spain.
Spain. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But in America, it's scary now because funding is being pulled, and we shouldn't be bringing certain voices above others, et cetera, because all of a sudden the white majority is scared of being irrelevant.
Right.
We're going to be less than somehow. I'm so bored right now. I mean, I really have been looking at Mexico and Guatemala and Uruguay to expatriate to. It's just, we'll see what happens in this next election, but good Lord.
I do talk about, if I could go back anywhere that I've lived before, if I could go back to, as much as I loved Singapore, as much as I love Egypt, Mexico, it dug its claws deep into my heart. The culture, the food, the people, the joie de vivre, to use a different language to describe, just the love of that. I had I was there during the pandemic, so I really was there 8 years long.
Yeah.
But yeah, to hear Cristobal talk about opera and go, I never saw opera there. I think I really missed out. If there's something going on like that, I really want to see what that is like, because some of my favorite theater has come out of Mexico. I had on the podcast a company from Mexico that I adore. So, but also Latin America, South America, there's some really cool stuff happening down there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Argentina.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go see it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can travel.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I love to be inspired. I love to just, yeah. Yeah, in opera, that's opera. Yeah. Over the years, going and seeing city company do shit.
Uh-huh.
I've been lucky. But I see if you've got some small indie garage opera shit going on and go support it. That's what I'd say. Don't be afraid of opera. I mean, now we have super titles and it's great. I love that. The invention of that or the implementation of that, genius. Best thing ever. So that everyone can enjoy it.
Copeland, I've enjoyed this. It's been fantastic to catch up with you. And like I said, now that the seal's broken and that you're gonna have free time, I'm gonna bug you.
Please do. It's so good to see your sweet face. We've known each other a while, my friend.
Man, Copeland, thank you. You look fantastic. You look happy
So do you.
on your exit after a long, storied career of
graduating.
Graduating, exactly. I really appreciate you sharing this with the audience and with me, and I love you to death. It's fantastic to see you.
I love you so much, Adam. Thank you so much for asking me for that, and it's so good to see you. I wanna ask you questions next time.
Okay, we'll do it.
Awesome. I need to know about you and what's gone on in the past. I don't know how many damn years.
Almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Almost 20 years.
I love you, my friend.
Love you. If this episode gave you any insight, inspiration, or even just made you smile, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts for more conversations like this. And if you're looking for guidance with a creative challenge or want to advance a dream of your own, we'd love to help. Visit boardofdirectors.world. The Board of Directors is a global constellation of theater directors dedicated to building community, sharing knowledge, and transforming the role of the director in the 21st century. We convene and curate a fellowship that fosters mentorship, artistic inquiry, and collective care, transcending borders and institutions and traditions. Until then, take care of yourself and take care of each other.